Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another webinar session as part of our Become an Expert Bookkeeper free training series. Just while everybody gets settled in, because I know it's only just hit 1 o'clock, let's just have a little chat about who's here with you today. Obviously, I'm here talking to you. My name is Jerry Murphy, and I'm your Xero trainer today. I'm a Xero ecosystem trainer. I train on Xero and a number of the other Xero add-on products that connect to Xero to make Xero more functional, all the things that Xero doesn't do. So I'm sure many of you know what add-ons are, so I won't go on and explain that one. I help business owners by training them, and Xero advisors by training them on Xero and training them on the add-ons. And it's our mission, mine and Angela's mission, to train every Xero user in the world to use it to its greatest potential. And that's what all of our free training now is about. And our Become Your Expert Bookkeeper course, Become an Expert Bookkeeper, which I'll tell you a bit more about at the end of the session. Angela is joining me from behind the scenes today to answer any questions in the question box or in the chat panel that you write. So you'll see things pop up from Ange, different links that I talk about, different things. So if you ask a question there, I may not answer your question verbally. Have a look for it in the question panel in response. Okay? So, sorry, let me tell you, you're probably reading as I was talking, but Angela is a Xero training specialist, and she's been using Xero for about as long as I have. We've both been using it for about 5 years. She's a bookkeeper and a BAS agent, and was working with Xero for a number of years up in their Brisbane office as a partner enablement specialist. So when I met Ange a while ago, and then we actually met together when I was, I suppose, commissioned, whatever you want to call it, to create the payroll specialist training for Xero. Was when I met Ange. We worked together and created the payroll specialist training, and we've been friends ever since, and always bounced off each other in different things to stay up to date with Xero and how to use it to its greatest potential. So I got Ange on board for this latest course that we've got, and yes, I'm sure you've seen some of her other training. We're both here to make sure you know how to use Xero as best as you can. So a little bit of housekeeping. You can minimize the control panel, that control panel that came up when you logged in. That's where you can ask questions to us in the chat box or in the question box. And I will answer some of them verbally, and will answer all of them via text. If there's any that are there that are a little bit hard to explain via text, Ange will just copy and paste and let me know, and I'll explain at the end of the session. There is a recording of this session available, so if you have to jump out or take a phone call during, don't stress, everybody that's registered will be sent a link, and also there will be the recording available on YouTube that you will be able to share with anyone else that you may think will find it useful. So if anybody wants to let me know how they are today, also let me know where you're joining us from, because that will give me confidence that you can hear me fine, and also that you can. Sorry, I just noticed someone's telling me that I'm showing the wrong screen. There we go. How's that? I think a few people have told me that now. I was leaving the questions up to Ange. Excellent. I have the wrong screen showing. Thank you. Very good. I hope you enjoyed my presentation PowerPoint. You can see I don't write much in my notes or anything there, all off the fly. Okay. All right. So where was I saying? I was saying, let me know where you're joining me from. Excellent. Lots of people from everywhere. It's someone's giving me crap for having birthday brain. It's my birthday today. I'm 31 today. So yes, I'm not just thinking about Xero user permissions. I was enjoying my birthday. Excellent. All right. So there is a recording available. It will be available on YouTube. You can share it with your friends and anyone else. Well, maybe not your friends, but any other Xero users that you know that might find this useful. Let's get stuck in and understand what we're going to cover in this session. We're going to have a look at the user screen. We're going to have a look at the partner edition, both on the web and on the iPhone app. We're going to look at invoice-only users, read-only users, and we're going to review the user screen. Now, let me just give you a little bit of a background as to why I'm showing you this stuff. When I was a Xero advisor, I know that I didn't have very much time to be able to go and look at new releases when they came out. I didn't have enough time to go and play around and muck around with things all the time to work out what they did. And when I was running a course last year, a free training series called Maximize the Potential of Xero, I was forcing myself to keep learning things that I'd never learned, because I figured that a lot of things that I knew, that a lot of Xero users already knew. So I picked a couple of topics that I'd never really never really knew how to use them. So I just went, okay, well, I'm going to teach people today how to add an expense claim from the iPhone app. I knew it could do it, but I had no idea how it could be done. So in that series, one of the videos I made, you should be able to see on my screen now, was one that looks like this, which is the iPhone with the iPhone app. I'm going to show you something similar today, where I worked out how to add an expense claim receipt via the Xero Touch iPhone app. Okay, this one little video has now had 573 views sitting on YouTube. Okay, and I show in that video how to add an expense claim via the app. In preparing for this little session that I run, this video, 4-minute video, I actually had to add another user, and I had to turn that user into an invoice only user, and in order to show that how the expense claim could be added. But what I realized at this point in time was that every person that has access to the expense claims, if you just say, because I would often teach people before doing this video, I'd be like, oh, yes, I'd sell you Xero to a client, and I'd say, yes, you can have your staff members add their expense claims in the Xero Touch app. So when they're at BP, they've just paid for their fuel, they've got the receipt in their hand, they can bring the receipt back, take a photo of the receipt, log it inside the Xero Touch app, have that photo attached to the expense claim, and then they will be able to submit their expense claim through the app. What I didn't know until I created this video was that all those users could also see any draft sales invoices. The user levels have expanded a little bit since then, but it's still not possible for you to have a staff member add an expense claim without them also being able to see at least the draft sales invoices. Now, that may not be a big thing for some users, but I definitely teach people that they could have their quotes or their use those different stages of invoices. This is more so to do with when they didn't have quotes. Since they've had quotes, it's easier. But if you're basically using draft invoices at any point in time, then you don't want to recommend someone to say, get your staff members using that function, okay? Because it's all about needing to know what you're actually teaching them. You make assumptions that someone can add an expense claim without seeing draft invoices, but they can, all right? So that then opened the door to me today when I was thinking about what we're going to talk about in these sessions. It was like, well, what do people not have time to do? You already know how to add a user. You already know how to invite a user on the different levels. You already know what an advisor can do, because you guys, I'm assuming most of you are all advisors. You already know what a standard user can do, the cash coding, non-cash coding, reports, no reports. That stuff I think most people know how to use. So the purpose of this webinar for me was really just taking a little bit of time. We've got another 20 minutes here of just going through and having a look around Xero at these different levels of users, understanding how they are, talking about a few different scenarios of when you might actually use those, and you can understand that more when you can really see what it's like. It's a hell of a lot easier than looking at these tables in the user roles, which I'm sure some of you have done, and trying to work out what does what. I prefer just to get into Xero and play around than look at matrices like this. If we have any detailed questions at the end and we want to test something, we can have a look in here, and we can also have a look at testing some things. So if you want to throw some curly questions at us in relation to what do you think, what user role should this type of person have, what user role can that person type and have, or can you do this if you're this user role? Let's jump in and test it and have a look if we've got time. Okay. Let's jump into my Xero file that I have here open for you. Now, this Xero file that I have here is the Partner Edition. It's the Partner Edition demo company, which is also called the Cashbook Edition. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of the names here are people that are partners, Xero partners, and there's a lot of new names here as well. Some of you are going to be coming through from the Xero partner work that I do. Some of you may be business owners. So let's just cover this off quickly. When you are a Xero partner, you have the ability to have the Partner Edition of Xero. not the business edition of Xero. So the business edition of Xero are all the versions of Xero that you can see when you go to Xero.com. Okay, Xero.com/pricing, you've got all those different versions of Xero. Xero partners have access to what's called partner editions or cash book editions. Cash book editions can be handy for the accountant level work that partners do. What I mean by that is the cash book edition is there for you to run the cash transactions through Xero, for you to be able to prepare a BAS if you don't have any invoices or bills, things like that, and also if you don't have any payroll. The partner editions are cheaper than the business editions, but they don't have as much functionality. The cash book editions don't have invoices or bills or payroll. You can see on this screen here, the partner edition, there's the bank accounts. There's 2 bank accounts here. The accounts watch list is turned on, and there's expense claims. You do not have access to invoices, bills, or payroll. See, the payroll tab is missing off the top. You'll notice here, if you haven't really had a look around inside other Xero roles because you've always just been an advisor, if someone doesn't have access to something, it's just simply gone. It's not like you click on it, you try and click on it, you can't get into it. It's just simply gone, okay? So the cash book editions that don't have access to invoices and bills and payroll, I personally don't try not to put business owners, if business owners are going to be using Xero, I try not to put them on the cash book edition myself because they don't have the ability to do the invoices or do the bills, which for me, invoicing outside of your Xero system, in your Xero system, is very, very important for managing your cash flow. Being able to manage your bills inside Xero. There's plenty of people in the world that don't bother entering in their bills. But really, if you're really serious about understanding your commitments and understanding your cash flow and the bills and different things you need to do, then you want to be using those bills inside Xero. You want real-time understanding. Be able to wake up every morning, open your Xero and go, this is how much someone owes me. This is how much I owe other people. This is exactly where I'm at. So I train people to check their Xero file every morning. The other thing that the partner edition doesn't have is multi-currency. The multi-currency is only available on the business premium editions of Xero, okay? So you need to be able to be on the business editions to have multi-currency. So partner edition here, you've got your bank accounts and you've got your expense claims and you've got your reports, okay? Now, if you haven't seen this partner edition of the demo company before, and it might have been a while since some of you have done partner certification training, to get access to this partner edition, if you want to have a look at it yourself, everybody has access to look at this. You do that by going to My Xero. Down here, you go to My Xero. Under My Xero, you then go down to the bottom and it says Try the Demo Company. And at the end of that sentence, you can click Change Country or Edition. And you can change your Xero Demo Company, either country or the edition. Okay, only those that have the partner edition of Xero can see the partner edition demo company. But if you have access to that, then you can. Okay, so that's the partner edition view, and that's what you have access to as a user of the partner edition. Let me just show you something inside the phone app. Just give me a second to hook that up. And inside the phone app, you'll see a similar kind of, sorry, I'm just hooking this one up. There it is. So this is you should be able to see my phone on the screen now. I'll just double check. Someone tells me that you can see my phone. Excellent, cool, all right. So you can see the phone app here. I'm just going to jump into my Xero file. And I have the Xero Partner Edition demo company already turned on. And when you're in the Partner Edition of the app, you can see the bank accounts there, just as you can in the web app. You can see Create an Invoice and you can see Add a Receipt. Now, I told you already that you can't have invoices in the Partner Edition. So if we hit here, Create an Invoice, you can see it looks as though you can create an invoice and you can even start entering the details. But look at the middle of the screen. There's that number field just spinning round and round and round. Xero can't capture an invoice number, so then it can't do anything. If I go to start entering in an invoice, even trying to save it as a draft, it says you must enter an invoice number before saving. So it doesn't actually tell you inside the web app that you can't do an invoice. It just doesn't let you get any further than this. So it's also important that if someone has had a play with the app and you're putting them on the partner edition, they'll go, yeah, no, I can do that. I can create an invoice. So just a little word of warning there that you don't make the assumption that an invoice can be done in partner edition, even on the app, because it can't. So all these little things I just wanted to show you, because the type of thing that little things that can trip you up later on when you don't need to know. Well, you want to know it now. All right, cool. I won't go through any of the other details of how to add an invoice or how to add a receipt on the app, because my YouTube video tells you how to add an expense claim. Actually, there was one thing I wanted to show you. It was in one of the recent releases, maybe 2 or 3, I think 3 releases ago. When you add a receipt now, you've got the ability to say, how did you pay? So this is in addition to what was in the YouTube video there. The how did you pay button in the middle here, when you select how did you pay, you can say that I want to be repaid, or if you paid with one of those bank accounts. So did you want to, were you basically doing it through a personal bank account or through a business bank account? So that's something that I didn't realize until Ange told me one day that it was there. I just would have assumed, not known about it. So wanted to make sure you guys knew about that one too. All right, let's jump back out of the app now. Okay, let's have a look now inside one of my other Xero files that I've set up for testing for you. Now, I understand that this is not one of the most enjoyable, I wouldn't say not enjoyable, but the most exciting topics to train on in Xero. I know I definitely was like, oh, how am I going to make this exciting? But I hope I'm making it as interactive as possible for you. Let's have a look here. I've got Jerry plus invoice only at jerrymurphy.com. That's my email address. Just a little tip here. If you are a Gmail or a Google Apps user, did you know that you can add a plus after your name? So my normal email address is jerry@jerrymurphy.com. If I add a plus sign after the word Jerry, then I'm able to add pretty much whatever I want after the plus sign between the @ and I will still get the email. It doesn't work on every single software. There's a few add-ons which have said, no, you can't have a plus sign in your email. But what this enables me to do is have a number of different Xero files and different logins to different solutions just by adding the plus after my name. So feel free if you want to ask me any questions about that, but that's definitely a very handy tip. You don't have to have 1 million email addresses. It's just still one email address, but I've got the plus sign there to identify that it's something different. Xero sees it as something different. As far as I know, that's only for Gmail and Google Apps. Okay, so what do we have here? Inside this file, we have a user that is invoice only, all right? Let's open up the Xero users section of in another browser that I have open, and I want to show you these, just refresh you of these different options that we have for invoice only. After we've gone through the invoice only, we'll then have a look at everything else on this screen as well. But we've already looked at, we're going to look at read only. We've already looked at the partner edition and the app. Let's just have a look at the invoice only section now. Then we'll look at read only, and then we'll come back and cover over some of these other ones which you might never have looked at as well. Okay, so right now, the user file, this is just me logged into the same file as an advisor. So I'm the subscriber and the advisor, so I'm able to change the user settings and add users, etc. So I've got here the invoice only, and I'm currently on draft only. What that means is that this file here, where I just logged in as jerry@invoiceonly at jerrymurphy.com, this is the view of the person that is invoice only, draft only, invoice only, draft only, okay? Let's just go and change it to invoice only, sales only, And then I'm going to come back and show you that draft one in a bit more. So under invoice only, we've got draft only, approve and pay, sales only, and purchases only. So let's change it to sales only. We'll break it down. Under sales only, we'll just refresh this page. Under sales only, the user can add a new sales invoice and see the total of all of the draft invoices, the awaiting payment, and the overdue. They can also add an expense claim. If I go new sales invoice, I'm not going to bother entering in a total new sales invoice, but if I go new sales invoice, then I can enter in a whole invoice and I can either save it or approve it. So I've got full sales access to save, approve and pay. What I don't have as a sales only person, say an accounts receivable manager, is I don't have access to any reports, which means I don't have access to run the aged receivables report, but I can go to my invoices, and when I have invoices in there, under the awaiting payment tab, or any of the others, but obviously if they're aged receivables, they'd be sitting in the awaiting payment tab, I can see all my awaiting payment invoices. You can also see that they've got access to add credit notes, send statements, import and export as well, but they don't have access to the aged receivables report. Okay, looking back to the next role is the purchases only. If I click back into this one, my invoice only user, I now want to change them to purchases only. You'll see for the purchases only, they have the tick box available to change the bank account details held for customers and suppliers. I'm just going to check actually if sales had that and it was just grayed out. No, sales only doesn't have that. That's a bit silly, isn't it? Because if they had sales only, I suppose you're not paying in. Yeah, sales onlys don't have contact bank admin, but purchases do. And I suppose that makes sense from the point of view that it says that you only need to enter in the bank account details for your suppliers if you want to do batch payments. But it says here, allow this user to add and edit bank details held for customers and suppliers. Well, they can, but I don't think there's any reason why purchases only people would be changing bank account details for customers. You don't really need to record the bank account details of your customers. But all right, there we go. Another little tip there of things that you would make the assumption that if purchases onlys had it, then sales onlys would have it, but they don't. All right. The invoice only, purchases only, we've got that on now. Let's press save. Similar type of thing in the Xero file where you can see that the purchases only person sees all of the bills that they need to pay and the different status of the bills, and they can add an expense claim. When they go to new bill, they can save it and approve it. Again, they don't have access to the aged payables file. Okay, let's go back to the user file again. And let's now change it to draft only. Invoice only, draft only. Draft only doesn't have access to any of these buttons down the bottom. All right, there we go. So the invoice only, draft only, again, they don't have access to any reports, as you'd imagined, with the draft being draft only. They shouldn't be able to run any other reports even so. They have access to invoices owed to you on the left-hand side and bills you need to pay, and they can add an expense claim. The numbers down here though, sorry, not the numbers, the words and the numbers, you can see you'd expect it to say, well, you're used to it saying draft and then awaiting payment when you have those little summaries, but note here it says draft and awaiting approval. They can't even see the awaiting payment invoices, which is a good idea, right? Because they're supposed to be only entering in draft invoices and submitting them for approval. They can't see anything else. So let's go to new sales invoice. When we go to new sales invoice, and the same function exists under the bill, it says save and submit for approval. Here you can see up the top, well actually under here, this didn't happen in the sales only and the purchases only section, but what you can see is that it says my sales and my purchases, slightly different, okay? So the my sales and my purchases, they can still see, oh, actually, hang on, I may be getting this wrong. No, let's test it maybe. I'm just thinking, what can they see? It says my sales and my purchases, but I'm not certain, and maybe Ange can look this up for me. Sorry, Ange, to put you on the spot, but we'll find the answer by the end of it because I should know it. But if it says my sales, does it only show the sales of that person has entered in and that person has submitted for approval? Or does it show everybody's draft sales? I just spotted the words my sales and my purchases before when I was preparing for this session, and I didn't think through that far enough. So I'll answer that question. Let me know if you know. But my sales and my purchases, it means that they can enter in sales and they can enter in purchases to a draft level. But does it include everybody else's? I'm not sure. We'll get the answer to that question. Oh, Ange has just told me you can only see your own. There we go. Thanks, Ange. Very good. Okay. So for those that might have missed that, when you come into draft only, they can only see their own invoices. So what's a real life scenario that they can see, or that in this particular case, that you would want someone to use this user level? It's when you would have a sales rep that wants to enter in their expense claims, obviously, and could also enter in their invoices and maybe even enter their bills as well. I think when we go into here, let me check. I don't think draft only has access to, there's one of these user roles doesn't have access to quotes and purchase orders. I'll work out which one that is for you in a minute, but it looks like you do have access to quotes on this one. Okay, so that's the invoice draft only. Let's have a quick look at invoice approve and pay, which is pretty much just everything that you need to be able to do. You still don't see the bank accounts, but you're able to go into an invoice, not just submit it for approval, but submit it for payment, and also mark it as paid at the bottom of the invoice. Okay, so the approve and pay looks very similar to our draft one, but let's just go into this bill that's sitting here, awaiting payment, and you can see that on the bill, when you go into it, you've got the ability to make a payment down the bottom. Obviously, with these bills, you have to manually record the payment on the end, on the bottom of it. You can't actually go into the bank account and do the matching. So if you've got someone managing accounts payable, they're not going to be matching back to the bills. What they will be doing is entering in the payment at the bottom of the bill that the person doing the matching in the bank rec can actually then easily match off those payments in the bank rec to the bottom of the bill or the bottom of the invoices. Okay. Just checking through, I've covered all those bits and pieces that I wanted to. I mentioned that you can't see the age receivables report. That's the same thing with the aged payables report. You can see even with this approve and pay access, clients still do not have access to run an age receivables or an age payable report. What they need to do is get confident with filtering their awaiting payment screen. That one I was just in, filtering that. Okay. Let's have a quick look. Let's log out of here and have a quick look in the read-only access so you can see what that looks like. Just a reminder to enter in any questions. If there's any scenarios you want me to run and have a look at today whilst it's on the top of your mind, let me know and we can have a look at that. Other than that, when the YouTube link comes up later on in your emails, feel free to put the comment below the video, and we can get back to you if you don't have time to test it on your own. Okay, so when we log into this file now, it's the exact same file, but this is the read-only access view. Okay, they have the ability to look at the bank account, to look at all the invoices owed, to look at the bills and the expense claims, but they don't have access. Actually, sorry, they can't add expense claims. That box is just still there. They can't add any invoices or bills either, but they can look at the total of it. So once they click into it, they can look around and see. So here's one of our invoices sitting under awaiting approval. They can click into the invoice. They just can't make any changes. See, they don't have the invoice options button up the top here. They can still look at files, they can still print it, but they can't email it. There's lots of things that a read-only person can't do, which is obviously the purpose of it. All right. Okay, so that's read-only. You will see, though, that read-only does have access to reports as well. So they can't change anything, they can't edit anything or things like that, but they can run the reports, which a lot of the other users that I've shown you today can't actually do that. Okay, let me zoom this in a little bit for you, and let's look at these user roles. Okay, starting at the top, the non-user role. Why would we want to use the non-user role? The non-user role is useful for people that you want to give payroll admin access to. So you can see here, I could go none, and I could select payroll admin. This is the person that you want to give full payroll access to, but give them no access to anything else. They can pretty much do everything to do with payroll, except be aware that they won't be able to drill down and look into the payroll, into the payroll journals, because they're only shown in the journal report, and they won't be able to reconcile your wages payroll liability account. They literally will be able to just do everything in payroll settings, pay people, run timesheets, approve timesheets, etc. So payroll access, admin access with none means that they can be payroll admin, but they don't see anything to do with the bank accounts or anything else. The read-only and invoice-only we've gone through in detail. Then we've got the standard non-cash coding, and then the other option is cash coding. If you need a reminder of what cash coding and non-cash coding is, that was covered in Xero partner certification as to how to use cash coding. And then the reports, you've got all reports or no reports. You can stop people from having access to that. And then there's obviously the advisor, who has access to, well, pretty much everything. An advisor, you can either turn on to manage users or not. Payroll, or same with the standard and advisors, you can choose to manage users or not manage users, payroll admin or not payroll admin, and the contact bank account admin details. I thought when they first brought out the contact bank account admin, I was like, why would you need to have that? But then I realized that previously people, standard users, for example, that were able to enter in bank account details into a contact, they would theoretically be able to change or practically, not just theoretically, practically be able to go and change a supplier's bank details to their own if they wanted the money to be transferred to them. Obviously, you probably wouldn't do that for too long before you got caught, but there's little things like that, which means people may not have used the batch payment feature. That's another thing you're taught in partner certification. People may not have used the batch payment feature if they knew that the bank account details could be viewed by other people, and there was a certain, not enough security in relation to that. So I think that's the main reason why the contact bank one was there. And if you're not using batch payments and you want to know more about it, let us know. Okay. There was one more thing I wanted to show you, and that was this little link now on the new user roles. Everything that I've shown you today is in these matrices on the Help Center. So if you're not 100% sure, you can always come and have access, have a look here and see what people have access to. One of the main ones here is being able to recode Invoices. This is a new one that only advisors have access level 2 in relation to sales invoices, to be able to recode invoices and recode customer credit notes. I believe that this is all related to the new find and recode function that Xero brought out earlier this morning. I can't show you anything else on it. Ange probably can. Ange would have gone through and tested it. Someone else has said recoding is awesome. Yes, I haven't looked at it because I've been preparing for this, but yes, find and recode you all would have heard about. It sounds like it's worth having a good look at. All right. So I believe I've covered everything that I said there that I was going to cover. I'm just going to check if there was any questions. One question that's being copy and pasted here is, how did you connect your iPhone to the desktop? It's an app called Reflector. I don't know if there's a better one out there these days. Sorry, I didn't mean to click to that. I'm trying to get my little thingy to come up. No, hang on, I've got to get out of this and I'll show you. Okay, see this one here down the bottom of my screen? It's called Reflector. It's an app. I think it's like $11 either one off or once a year, and it connects to your phone using or your iPad. I use it for my iPad training on Bend and things like that, using AirPlay. So you buy the Reflector app, then you on your phone you connect via AirPlay. It's really easy, and then it just pops up on your screen. So yeah, iPhones and iPads, very handy. All right. Just checking if there's any other questions. I think we're pretty much covered. All right. Whilst I'm waiting for any further questions come through, if anybody has any other questions, please place them in the question panel now. Whilst you do that, I will tell you a little bit more about any other expert training that, or other expert training that we have. We have a free 5-day training series that's coming out today. I actually will, Ange, if you want to put that link in the chat box for me, for Xero Tips and Tricks. It's a 5-day series. You'll see an email from me later on about that one, because it's another bunch of lessons, all on lots of different topics, 5 different topics of things that we're covering as part of our free Xero training series, things that we think people need to know in relation to just using Xero at an expert level. All the things that we were like, we didn't know that for ages, so let's train on that, because we didn't come across that. Everything that we're teaching in all of these free Xero training series are things that we're not going to be covering again. What I mean by that is, obviously, we're doing the training, we're recording it, and it's available through our channels. We're running a Become an Expert Bookkeeper course, which starts next Monday, which has 12 live weekly lessons, all 90 minutes each, all covering pretty much everything that we believe expert bookkeepers need to know. So it's everything after partner certification. If you've done partner certification and you're finding that there's still things that you don't know that you need to learn and you're learning from others, then we've put everything we can inside the course. So the Become an Expert Bookkeeper course, and just put the link inside the chat box, which takes you to the page, which gives you the 12 topics that we'll be covering over the 12 weeks. The course is available for up to 5 students per firm. What that means is, if you buy one ticket either upfront or as part of a payment plan, up to 5 people in your firm get access to that training, which means that you basically can train 5 people for the price of one. And it doesn't just have to be people right now. As I've said, it's lifetime access. So that means that even if you hire 3 people next week, guess what? You don't have to sit around training them or take up the time. You can put in the not put in the video. It's not a VCR, but to give them access to our training. If they can't attend live, or if the live sessions have already gone, then you can they can have access to the recordings of our sessions. As I said, there is payment plans available, and every user, every student gets access to our private expert bookkeeper support group. There's already many people in there, for a couple of people that have taken up the firm offer, and a couple of people that are just there to be determined to become the greatest Xero users, which is what we're trying to create and pass on all of the knowledge that I've had as an accountant and Anne just had as a bookkeeper, and both of us as trainers and cloud integrators over the last few years. All right. Just going to check if there's any further questions. The link that Ange just put in was the link to the training course itself. Let me just give you the one to the free Xero training. We've got, for those of you that have been following us for the last few weeks, you'll know that there's a few free training links flying around, but that's not a bad thing. But I email everyone about all of them. But if you feel like you haven't got access to all of them, or you haven't got them all, then let me know, and we'll just send us an email. I haven't got the details on my next slide, so I'm going to send you my email and I'm going to send you Angela's email, and you can type yours in so I don't get it wrong. Yeah, send through any questions that you might have about the course or about any other Xero training that you'd like to see from us, either through our free sessions or through all of the other work that we do. All right. Just a few other questions are coming in. Do you have any web videos on Vend and Xero? Yes, I do. I have a course called Become an Expert, a Vend Expert in 8 hours. That's where most of my training on Vend is, well, all of my training on Vend. There's a few Vend free videos flying around. I'll send you the details to those for Vend free training. It's oh, that one, yes, Andrew's, sorry, Andrew's already put in the course one. And there's also this other one, which is saslive.com/retail. That's a link to the free Vend training series. The Vend training is the other one that has the Become an Expert Bookkeeper. I've just recently updated my website, jerrymurphy.com, and every course that I've ever created, including how to review a Xero file, customized invoicing, Dear Inventory, Unleashed Inventory, the Become an Expert Bookkeeper course, and my business coaching courses for Xero advisors. They're all actually on my jerrymurphy.com now. So I was losing track of my own links of all my own courses. So I put them, I spent my Friday the other day spending updating jerrymurphy.com so I can find them, let alone everybody else. Excellent. You should have those links, Yvette, in the chat box. Let me know if you don't, and I'll remember to call you after. Excellent. All right. I think we've answered all the questions. Does anybody else have any other questions? If you don't, feel free to say goodbye, and we will see you on our session next week. I should tell you that, actually. We've got a session next week called Xero Reporting Like a Pro, which Andrew will be running, and I'll be supporting, which is all our, well, not all, but a number of our favorite tips and tricks on Xero reporting, and what you can do with that, which is Anne's little thing. All right. Okay, excellent, very good. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes, everybody. That's cool. It's what I can't actually think of anything else. Some days I look back, a number of years ago and go, excellent. This is exactly what I wish I would be doing, and I'm doing it. It's very cool. Okay, question here. How do we get access to other students for new employees? Okay, so if you've already bought a ticket to become an expert bookkeeper, which I know a number of you have, just email me if you have other students to add in. I will be sending out the logins to the area ready for start on Monday, either today or tomorrow. And when you get those logins, you'll be also asked if you have other students that you have in your firm, and asked to verify that they are students within your firm or people that are subcontracting to you. Yeah, so you'll be able to just tell me, and then I'll be able to add them in and add their logins in. Cool, excellent. Okay, cool. Excellent. I think we're good. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you all very soon. See you next week. Bye.